Okay, let's call the meeting to order.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Agnes Fornarski,
Present.
chairperson. Peter Hahn.
Present.
John Kamish.
Here.
Seth Marcus.
Here.
We are expecting Ed Madden. I'm Jill Moskow, recording secretary and commissioner, and we have a quorum.
And I'm Dana Severson, and I am here.
I'm sorry, did I not get your name? I'm
It's
sorry,
okay.
Dana.
All right.
Barely, but I'm here.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of June 14th. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? And
Yes, I make the motion that we approve the minutes as they were drafted by Jill. Did another wonderful job with them.
Thank you.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. Moving on to old business, the update on the workday schedules. Last workday was very hot, but we had a really great turnout. Dana, how many people did we have come
We had
out?
15.
15 people come out, so that was really nice. It was like 90 degrees, very humid, very hot. We ended it a little bit earlier with some people staying. We got a lot of buckthorn from around the slough removed. We planted some plants and then had a really nice walk to look at the Michigan lilies that are sprouting up everywhere. And even though the Michigan lilies, a lot of them have been lost with the flooding, there's still really nice populations coming up.
Good.
The next workday will be, we're going to split it with the Sedge Meadow and Morava. So the Sedge Meadow still has some teasel. The interns have been working on it, but there's this one really big population that if we had a lot of people, we could just knock it back. Gabby will be here for the workday, so her and I can use the brush cutters, and then all we have to do is stack the teasel off to the side, and it'll make a big difference with a lot of people. But we'll only be doing that for about an hour in the morning, because then it'll be quite warm on Sunday. We may collect some sedges too, depending on, what people want to do, whether it's teasel or sedges, and then we'll move on to Morava Nature Preserve, where we'll be doing a little bit of planting
Mhm.
for the rest of the workday.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that workday notice just went out before the meeting, so
Mhm.
you'll all have it when you get home.
Next, I'll cover the seed greenhouse program. So we've already started collecting seeds, especially of the spring species. We've already sowed them into their little containers, some of them. And seed collection season is starting with sedges and other things. It'll really kind of come together in August and September. We have been invited by Poplar Creek to visit them and collect species that we need, whether 1 or 2 work days like we did last time with, I think we had like 12 volunteers come out and we got back pounds and pounds of seeds of plants that we didn't have. So they have invited us to come
When would that happen?
sometime in August, September, depending on the species
Okay.
that we really wanted. So,
Okay.
and how many times we can get out there. But it's really great because they have all of these plants and that we don't have, and so they never get to collect all the seed anyway, and so they're willing to share with us.
Yeah, that's a great working relationship.
It really is.
Mhm.
And that goes along with the greenhouse program, so we've been growing some plants for them, some really special species, and this is how this all works together. And we have already planted a few thousand plants. We still have many plants that we can plant through October.
Mhm. We're still holding in reserve the plants for the Park District project that Dino has going to naturalize the pavilion area.
Which is coming up.
It's coming up. It sounded like it was going to go offline there for a while, but Dino clarified that it's back in the works and it should happen real soon.
That's not that many plants, though, so.
No.
Mhm. Any questions, comments about that? Excuse me. Next is the status of the meeting with Luke Matthew on Owen Court in Prospect Heights.
Well, Dana, Agnes, myself, and Jeremy, our volunteer, did arrive as discussed at 8 a.m. on Friday, June 15th, but Mr. Matthew wasn't there and never showed up and hasn't returned phone calls. But we did survey his parents' property, which borders the east side of Hillcrest Lake, and we can assist them with helping to stabilize the shore with natural plants and help prevent erosion control. But we cannot proceed because there's been no contact since his visit to our meeting.
Does anybody have any email to him, for him?
We don't have an email address for him. We just had a phone number.
Okay, well, maybe he'll reach out to us again then if he's interested in discussing it further. Next is the plan to increase public access to the wetlands.
Okay, we have, at this point, completed what we think to be the first draft of the plan to hand off to city council. And this plan, at this point in time, incorporates all of the commissioners' comments that I received. I made those tweaks. And then it reflects the hour-and-a-half meeting that we had with Mark Roscoe at Public Works, and got his thoughts in there. And he had quite a few modifications, which we incorporated. The whole thing really has to be prefaced by the fact that no one really has an idea what's going on with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District project. That could change anything and everything that's proposed here. It could completely blow it up and cause it a major rethink. The sooner that we could get the information or sit down with someone from the MWRD.
Well, the city's working, so it's not like.
Right. Then we could be more specific and hopefully really get the project in the right place and do the right things in terms of absorption of water and whatever else we can possibly impact. I've emailed the plan, the PDF to everybody. I don't know if you've all had an opportunity to look through it. It's not that much different than the ones that you guys did look at the first time through. Basically, the changes are, Mark has modified the parking, his request for parking on the lake to be just the two small red areas that you see there, and the addition of 4 benches and 3 trash cans on the lake. That was his big proposal. We also took out the extension of the buffer zone that would run through the property at 103 on Maple, and all of the work that's scheduled to or theorized to happen on Willow Road has been just basically set off to the side because of the MWRD project. So really, that's about the only changes. There were a few things that we took out that we had in there that you guys wanted taken out, just one-line sentences that really, in retrospect, didn't make a lot of sense. So what I'd like to do at this point is, unless anyone has any objections, well, first of all, I'd like to open it up for discussion and get your guys' input, see what you think. I know, Seth, you had some things you wanted to convey here about MWRD, so I think that's probably appropriate time right now.
Okay, well, I have uncertainties about the MWRD project, so I don't want to criticize it as much as say I want to learn more about it. I'm somewhat uncertain of, are we going to be told here it is and it's been decided in the following way? Or are we going to be told now's the time for input and we're going to have input before a final decision is going to be made? I'm concerned that if we're told here it is, this is the way it's going to be, I'd like to know how it's going to impact so many issues about how it impacts the vegetation and water flow and animal life, et cetera, in the slough. So that my first preference is that before a decision is made about how the project is going to be, that we have a seat at the table so that we can express our opinions about what we'd like to see in regard to how it affects vegetation and wildlife and water flow. It would be a shame if the project happens and thousands of hours of volunteer work at the slough are destroyed. I'm not saying that's going to happen. What I am saying is I don't know the project, so I don't know, number one, are we going to have a voice in it? And number two, is it going to come to us completed or still with decisions to be made?
I don't know if, Peter, if you can shed any light on
I
it.
can't answer that.
Yeah.
This is a very expensive project. It's $3 million.
Right.
So we're hopeful, right now you're in the discussion phase of what you want to do as far as what you're proposing that the city council wants as far as the increase in enjoyment for the residents. I'll tell you right now, we are pushing to get a response from MWRD because we want this project done. We're looking at probably about $2.6 million of this is going to be taken over, is going to be paid for by either the MWRD or IDOT, or the Department of Transportation. So this is a project we want to get done. This is a project we desperately need. You live over in that area, you know the flooding issues there. Willow Road was closed, what, half a dozen times in the last month, 2 months?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it pretty much sprinkles and we closed Willow Road. We can't have that. We've got to have something done, and MWRD is our only choice at this point. They're our only savior. So I'm hopeful that we're close enough that while you're working on this, the decision comes from MWRD, so if you do have to tweak the proposal or put it on hold until we actually find out exactly what needs to be done engineer-wise, because it's all in the hands of the engineers when it comes to the water and all that. I'm hopeful that we're close to that point right now. So it's not going to be where your plan is put into place by the council, you guys do all this work, and then MWRD decides, yeah, we'll go ahead and fund the Prospect Heights plan, and just rip up everything that you guys have put in. We don't want that. You definitely don't want that. That's counterproductive to the city. So we're hopeful that, you know, maybe the sun's going to shine on us and things will actually work out the way we plan, where we actually get a response, start moving forward with WMRD, and then to follow that, you can then fit your plan into what needs to be done with engineer-wise with that.
But I'm not saying that we will adjust our plan to MWRD's. What I'm asking is, I want MWRD to adjust their plan to our needs. So I'm not asking for MWRD to present us with a plan and then we adjust this. This is, in my mind, this is a second issue. This is about access, public access and use of the area. That's one issue. Separate from that is, when they raise this road, how is it going to affect water flow? How is it going to affect the plants that we've planted? How is it going to affect the restoration? Separate from public use. It's not about adjusting this plan. Frankly, my comments almost have nothing to do with this public access plan. My comments have to do with, what is the MWRD plan? Is it going to come to us fait accompli, or is it going to come to us where we still have input and can adjust it? If it's going to come to us fait accompli, it doesn't seem right if, and I'm not saying it will, if it damages the work we've done in the slough. So I want to look at it before it comes to us. You mentioned that the city of Prospect Heights, or Park District, I'm not sure what you meant, is enthusiastic to get the plan quickly and, you know, let's get this over with. What I'm saying is, wait, don't send this plan to us done. We want input before it's done. We want to talk about, what is this plan? Is it going to damage the restoration that's already been done at the slough? And we'd like a seat at the table to talk about that before they present the plan.
And I'll just say that as an advisory panel to the council would have to make that decision. So that could be something you petition the council for. I will speak with my boss to find out from a staff position where MWRD is and how flexible they are. But again, as an advisory panel to the city council, you would need to have that discussion with the city council. The city council would then would allow you, a representative or as a group, to speak with MWRD. Because whenever it's intergovernmental agreements, especially with this amount of money we're talking about, we all have to speak with the same voice. So some people may be happy, some people may be sad. Hopefully we'll make everybody as happy as possible. But again, this is a council decision like you're asking.
So let me ask a couple of questions. Number one, are you saying that a member of this commission can't approach MWRD and ask for a seat at the table?
That would be inappropriate.
And is it the council, I think I want to make sure that the council, you're saying we have to approach the council first and get permission.
Yeah.
And so I want to impress upon the council the idea that, that we've had literally thousands of hours of volunteer work on the slough, and it would be a shame if the MWRD project comes and damages those thousands of hours of volunteer work. So it seems reasonable that we should get a seat at the table.
Well, it seems reasonable that there should be a conversation with the council.
Has somebody on the council actually met with MDWR?
I don't believe
So
so.
it's just proposed, let's push this along and,
Again, there's just an engineering plan out there.
yeah.
To my knowledge, nothing's been agreed upon yet. Once MWRD comes to the table and says, okay, we're willing to fund this, because again, we're predominantly waiting on them. Again, it's a $3 million project, and we're looking at $450,000 that we would put in as our share. So there's a large amount of money that MWRD is coming to the table with
Yeah.
to make this project happen. Once they agree to that, that's when I believe the engineering set aside. I would hope there'd be some flexibility in MWRD. I don't know that. I don't want to speak out of turn. But again, it would behoove you as an advisory commission to speak with the elected officials and let them know that you are, as someone who's worked in this area and has put in so many volunteer hours in the plants and all that, that you would like to be included in that discussion. That is not my decision. That's not a staff decision, because again, you are under the umbrella of the city council.
So this is, should we just speak to our alderman about this, or do we bring this up at city council? How do we,
You as residents, as commissioners, you can speak with your alderman.
Yeah.
You can speak with any of the aldermen. It doesn't have to be your alderman. So, if you have a community, well, you can go on our website and get the email address of every single alderman, or your phone. If you want to speak with them and, just let them know, because ultimately, like I said, this is a council decision.
well, perhaps, Seth, we should maybe set the ball in motion and reach out at least to the alderman and see, where this is going as far as who's meeting, what the timeline on pushing this is. Open up the communication at this point.
We could also,
I guess it could come up at a city council meeting.
right, we could do it that way.
I'm not sure what the best.
Can we incorporate that into the next council meeting where we're actually presenting this plan?
That's a good dovetail where you can.
Sure.
You're talking about this area.
Yeah, could you
in
put us on the
particular,
agenda for that?
And you could very simply, mention, hey, listen, we know that the city's trying to get this agreement with MWRD and the DOT to fix this problem area, which needs to be fixed one way or another. How is that going to impact, what we're planning, what we've done, and what we're planning on doing? And is there any way that the NRC can be involved in that process so that, maybe we can bring something to the table that the city staff doesn't think about, or the elected officials that you've done that can be incorporated in the project so that it doesn't destroy what you put in there. So, if you're asking for a seat at the table, you would.
Can you
that
put
would
us
be
on the
appropriate.
agenda, Peter, for
Sorry?
that? Can you put us on the agenda for that item?
You would dovetail with the presentation.
Okay, but
Do
I'm
you think it
sorry.
would be appropriate to write a letter that all the council members get about our request, and then have someone just mention a few words?
Again, you are able to speak with the council, you're able as a commission, you're advisory to the council, you can do a letter, you can go one-on-one to speak with them.
Well, what I'm asking, I guess, is do we need to make this a separate agenda item, or can we just dovetail it into the presentation we're gonna do?
It's on the agenda for this area.
Yeah, okay.
And literally, Willow Road is in between
Right.
Hillcrest Lake and the slough. So it's incorporated in this entire plan.
Okay,
You specified, and I've read, as briefly as I've had this, I went through it, you discussed the Willow Road project in the plan itself, because you understand
You have
that
to.
a lot of what you're thinking about is gonna hinge on what happens with Willow Road.
Right.
So it's a perfect opportunity to discuss that,
Okay.
and you'll have all the council members here present.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend that if you're asking for my recommendation, not that I can give you.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I would like the commission to understand too is the flooding issue. And I think just raising Willow Road, I don't know how that's gonna impact, the flooding situation. I don't know if this,
That's why it's being raised, is because of it.
well, is this gonna solve, the flooding downstream, upstream, what is?
That's why MWRD is involved. And that's why I said this is a very large engineering project that we have to do. We're looking at compensatory storage for the water, because once we raise Willow Road, okay, which will help with the flooding of Willow Road itself and the surrounding streets that they're talking about improvements as well, that water has to go somewhere else. We, as a city, by doing that, have to show MWRD that that water that's going to be displaced because of that raising of the road, we have another place that water will go. And it's all, and you're absolutely right, it's upstream, it's downstream, it's the entire watershed that gets taken into consideration. And it's the engineers that go through all that.
They have to figure it out.
So,
And
yeah,
there's
so-
also conveyance issues too, so the water's gonna move a little faster through the system.
I can and update everybody a little bit. In our meeting with Mark Roscoe from the Public Works, we learned a little bit more about the project. And that is that in addition to the 6 5-foot diameter culverts that they plan to put between the lake and the slough, there's now also a bridge that goes over it.
Or a raised, I mean, that's the raised road.
And whether that bridge has public access
But
on
that's
the two
also
sides.
engineering, I mean, that's,
nobody knows.
right, that's all.
And then what else did he say? There was one other issue there. It's going to be raised 6 foot instead of 3 feet.
Right.
And just this idea of the 6 culverts communicating between Hillside Lake and the slough, does somebody here know the answer of if that will change the habitat of the slough?
I don't believe so.
I don't think anybody
It
knows
will
that.
open it up to what it was.
Nobody
I think
knows.
well, no, I mean, that's, that's just sort of migration of species in between. So yeah, the carp will, but I mean, there's culverts there already. The flow might move faster, for sure, into the lake, but it has to leave the lake as well. So it's really the outflow that makes a big difference too. If the outflow is increased drastically, then the water will just move quicker through the system.
Well, that was the one interesting thing that Mark said, was that the spill pipe that goes from the lake to the ditch that goes to McDonald Creek and then into Des Plaines River is not going to be changed in any way,
I
shape, or
don't
form.
think that that's, I mean, but I don't think that anybody knows the details of the engineering
That goes back
plans.
to Peter's question saying it's not going to fix anything.
Well, okay,
I mean,
so
the road will be above water is what.
I think
what it
really
is.
nobody knows the exact details of the engineering plans. I don't think that that's, that there's a lot of speculation.
It's all we have at this point is speculation, but I think I agree with Seth, it's totally appropriate to speculate at this point, because
No, I think it's appropriate to
you're gonna
ask for
wake
see-
up someday and here's your plan, and you may or may not like it.
Well, hopefully this could be a win-win for everything.
Yeah.
As opposed to someone taking a hit. And I think it necessarily could be, but let's open up the communication with the city council, and as Seth said, get a seat at the table at least. I think that's a great idea.
Mhm. Yeah, so that there's more involvement, at least so that we know what's going on, and we can always just offer opinions, or not necessarily, I mean, I'm not saying there's no decision-making process here, just to be informed, and just to make recommendations based on the information that we receive, and based on what we know that's going to happen.
How sensitive is the MWRD to the habitat and things like, do we know? I mean, are they just come in and do engineering?
You're responsible for the creek, so.
I can tell you, the people that we know are very sensitive to it.
Good.
Very sensitive, but it
Very
really depends on what, I mean,
But
All right.
it depends on
we
what
don't
the
know any
issue.
engineers, though.
No, okay, so I think it really depends on what the problem is with I mean, MWRD can be ecologically sensitive as well, depending on the project, depending on the area, I mean, obviously they're more sensitive to wetlands and, but, I mean, they also do put in gabion baskets and seawalls, which are things that are not sensitive. It really depends on the area, depends on the project, depends on.
I mean, the good news is, I think, in all this, is that they know us quite well. We've met with them a couple of times on other things. and they know the work that we've actually done here, so it's not like.
Well,
we're
you know,
not-
perhaps with the whole shoreline, I mean, the shoreline is eroding just hugely. I mean, I look at it every day and it's just falling off. You know,
Chunks.
hopefully this can be incorporated into their plan and, you know, help us.
It depends on what, you know, I mean, we've heard so much speculation about what the grade is on the road.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, you have no idea what the impact is gonna be on the erosion or what
Like,
you're
is it gonna be
left
native vegetation? Is it gonna be gravel, 3-to-1 slope going into the lake? I mean, you just don't know.
I mean,
you know?
our original understanding was it was gonna be an 18-foot grade into the lake.
Right.
That's a lot of water and into the slope. I mean, that pretty much wipes out the north finger of the slope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's all speculation, and we don't know anything at this point. It's cause for alarm, I agree. And you certainly don't want to see anything crazy happen. So I agree. The sooner we could talk, and become a, you know, part of this whole discussion, I think the better off we are.
Right.
Let's move on.
All right, so we'll make that part of the agenda when we do the presentation.
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate to just let the council members know that we want to
When
discuss
is
that,
that?
though.
It's the 23rd.
Great amount of time.
So back to the issue of the handout proposal that we have. Do we have any modifications? Do we want to approve it? And-
Just a slight thing.
Yes.
Did you
You told me about
okay,
the
that's
comma
fine.
thing, yeah, I got
Okay.
it.
And the hyphen, yeah. Motion to approve?
Yeah, we need a motion to approve.
Approved. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan as drafted
I
by
second.
Dana.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so,
Okay, so we
So
will
we're
proceed.
giving-
Peter, I'll make this one correction, and I'll send you the PDF tonight.
and Seth, you would be willing also to address council? then?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Mhm.
My caution or worry about the plan is that although we proposed a lot of things in here, that it gets watered down to just putting parking on Hillcrest Lake and that's it. You know, is that what increasing public access means? Of just
Well,
putting
no, I
parking-
think, I
I mean,
think,
without affecting the shoreline and without doing anything else,
Right.
but
no,
just.
that's, John, when we put in these riparian buffers, they're to go all the way around the lake, okay, and then the mow path.
Oh, I understand our intention.
Oh, yeah, our intention, oh,
Right.
yes.
I'm worried about other
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
intentions.
Yeah,
Well, but one of the other intentions is to do the, you know, I mean, it's stated in there to do interpretive signages and the boardwalk, which would make sense.
Our intention or their intention?
ours.
Our intention.
Yeah, I know, like, I understand,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have a good solid plan here, it's well-rounded, but if it boils down to a couple parking signs and that's it, you know, we wanna,
He's
Well,
saying it could, someone else could pair it back to that.
this will be an issue of debate. I mean, it's gonna clearly be an issue of debate,
Right.
and it could get very much pared down.
sure, and I think one of the issues
So-
of debate would be even those boardwalks, because, you know, crossing the creek and it's in a floodplain, and so I've heard this before, that, you know, these boardwalks, they may somehow obstruct flow, although they're used in fens and wetlands all over, every
Right.
natural area, forest preserve, district, it does not obstruct flow, it's
Right.
not an issue. And, yeah, IDNR permitting and all of these things, that'll have to happen, of course, but I don't see it as a problem, you know, I don't think it, I don't know.
All right, we'll find out.
I mean, it's not our
We'll find
decision
out.
to make, so.
The presentation, the slide, the pretty presentation with all the slides and the pictures and all the rest of that stuff is
Yeah.
essentially done as well. So it's just a matter of adapting a little bit of this language here into that, and
I guess in the end, it's not our decision to make. We're advising the council on possibilities and ideas to improve the access. You know, if council doesn't approve to these things, we can also, you know, if it's on park district land, we can also address the park district. If we wanted a boardwalk on their land, maybe, you know, maybe that can happen if it doesn't, if council doesn't agree to those things.
Okay, the Park District project, letter E there. That is back on, in the works. They're, I believe, going to be starting it sometime next week.
Does everybody understand?
Which project are we
This
talking
is the
about?
one, the pavilion where they have the brick patio.
Oh,
It's just plants, basically.
It's just
native
plants
We're
from us.
Just providing them plants to go around there, native plants.
It's about 2-3 hours of planting, and that's about it, and the plants, so. But it is back in the works, and
Is that going to be a volunteer workday to do that?
We could make
It
it a
could be,
volunteer
yeah.
workday. Mhm,
Okay.
absolutely. That's a
it
good
could
idea.
also be send the interns too,
Yeah, but,
so,
I think it would be nice if all of us could participate.
sure.
absolutely, definitely. Mhm.
Okay, the library, any questions about that? Anybody, any questions about that?
No,
The lib,
for me.
Okay. The Library Nature Speaks program. We just had Jerry Wilhelm here, and that was absolutely spectacular. The one thing that depressed me for days on end was the fact that there was absolutely no one there from a policy-making position from the city or the Park District whatsoever. That the people that really should have been there to listen to what he was saying were not there. And so that part was really, was hard for me to digest. The fact that we didn't get it videoed didn't help either. And so that's something that I'd need to get together with Terry and Patrick and see if we can figure out, because the problem stems from the days that the library has open to do these events. And they usually fall on days when Patrick is already committed years in advance. So it becomes difficult to get these done. Our next speaker, Joel Greenberg, I anticipate is going to be a full house, just like Jerry Wilhelm was. And the difference there is that Joel does not want to do a video with that. And part of him accepting to do the talk was that it wouldn't be videoed, so.
yeah, we've had multiple people request, you know, they couldn't make it or that they wanted to watch that video,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
So that part was unfortunate, but.
Perhaps we should make special reach out invitations to our aldermen and mayor and city council, or, you know, anybody else who's,
Yeah, but we've done that in the past,
We've
though.
done that in the past, and it still hasn't paid dividends,
But you're right, we should have done a
Absolutely, we should
special.
try it.
We didn't do that this time, absolutely.
we'll
right.
certainly do that with Joel Greenberg.
Although the issues that were discussed with Wilhelm's talk really addressed, you know, flooding
it
and,
was
Yep.
perfect.
yeah, I mean, it would have made such a difference in people's eyes
Do we-
about, like,
does-
the
does-
way the land works and the way that yeah,
Does
So it's a
Joel have
shame.
particular subtopic that he's discussing at his lecture, do we know? Or is
Yeah,
it,
he's discussing three birds and the habitat. I can't remember the exact name of it. Let me look at it real quick here.
so I mean, that doesn't specifically, you know,
yeah,
It
Address
doesn't
issues
tie
of the
into,
city
yeah,
or
it
the-
doesn't tie into.
right, it
our-
doesn't tie in. This particular program really did tie into flooding and watersheds and storm events and all these things. so.
The next speaker after that we're working on getting set up is Laura, what's her last name, please?
Rebecca?
Yes, she's the co-author of Jerry's giant book.
Flora of the Chicago region.
Right, and she is also Chris Anker's wife. And she has a new bee project that she's working on. And what she'll actually discuss at this point, I'm not sure. She could discuss anything out of the book. She could discuss her role in the book. I mean, there's a million topics she could talk about, I'm sure. So those talks are just starting right now, but I'd sure like to nab her for the winter speaker. Would be great. Joel's talk is Hope is a Thing with Feathers, Americans and Three Birds. Let's see, it takes a look at three birds representing different outcome in the hands of people. And it's passenger pigeon, the Kirkland warbler, and brown-headed whooping cranes. And he's got an entire program that's based on that, so. It talks about conservation and what we've done to those birds through mismanaging the environment.
Well, maybe that'll strike a note in someone who is.
Couple of comments about this Nature Speaks program. One is that if any of my fellow commissioners would like to have a spirited discussion about Dr. Wilhelm's talk, I'd love to share a meal with you and have a discussion about his talk. The second thing is there's someone from Lake County is, I guess, a specialist on Landon's turtles.
Planning turtles?
Yes.
Mhm.
And so in terms of looking for future speakers, this person is apparently giving a talk in Lake County, and maybe might be an individual you might be interested in hearing.
Yeah, if you can pass the name and contact info on, I'd be glad to do that.
Sure, sure.
Okay, moving on to the nature preserve interpretive signage. The small signs are out for production. We've decided to hold them because they wanted to charge another $125 to ship them out separately. So I've got to finish the two big signs and get them out so that they can ship everything at once, so
So we don't spend another $125.
another week at least.
Did I hear there was vandalism to the sign?
To the libraries, book walk
What
signs.
was that? I thought it was maybe the flooding that did it.
No,
How sad.
Dino said it was some kids one night.
A couple signs are missing.
There's like
Yeah.
6 missing.
They're thrown around.
They're in the
places.
creek.
Yeah.
We'll
Just-
take them out on Sunday.
No, that's not our, I mean, it's their signs.
I know, but we're there. Just take them out, put them on the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. Right.
Take them out of the creek.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the status of that. It's 4 to 6 weeks after they get all the artwork, so,
Do you need help with that?
nope.
Okay. So maybe by the end of,
Next week.
okay. And we'll have a special work day to put in the posts and the signs. Of course, we'll run it by the big two signs by everybody, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next is the Prospect Heights Park District Block Party. Anybody want to comment that was there about it?
Well, it was really good again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
We ended up with like 100 and, I forget what we said, 150 some odd news people.
Mm-hmm.
The mailing list is now up to 318, so it was at 200 and something.
It's a lot.
So-
The mailing list.
The mailing
For our
list.
journal and for our volunteer
journal
work
volunteers.
days.
So that whole idea worked out well.
Gave out a
I
lot
think
of plants again.
One of the things that was really encouraging this time was the amount of really, really young kids who came and spent
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
a
it was
lot of
fun.
time there talking to Agnes.
Yeah. Some of these kids, they had come last year for the Make a Difference Day, and then we had a board up, and so they saw their pictures in there, and so they were really excited. And one girl even said, you know, now I'm in 7th grade, and we don't have that Make a Difference Day, so I can't come out and help. And we said, no, yes, you can. We have work days. And she really was excited, and then brought all her friends in on it, and it was really, really sweet. A lot of young kids that were very interested and brought their parents over and exchanged information to be able to sign up for work days.
Definitely worth doing,
Mm-hmm.
and we should do it again next year, would be my recommendation.
Definitely. A lot of fun. So next is the Kids Care Workday at the Nature Preserve, which was on June 24th. And Kids Care, Prospect Heights Kids Care, they do, I believe, like 4 organized volunteer events during the year. And it's the age group is like anywhere between 2 and 12. And they come with their parents and their grandparents. It's really sort of a family event. We had 15 children with their family members come out and plant plants all around Marava. Did a really great job, really great job. A few hundred plants were planted. A little bit of mosquitoes were in the way, but we ended with a nice walk all around. And the really nice part about that was that last year, some of the kids had participated in the same work day, and they had planted thousands of the butterfly milkweed over there on the hill. And so the butterfly milkweed was just about to bloom, and it looked beautiful, and there was butterflies everywhere. And so they got to appreciate the work that they did last year by seeing the effects of that and all the insects and butterflies that they had attracted to the area last year. And so, and it was nice, we had a really engaging conversation, you know, one kid asked, you know, why is this important, you know, and so we had a really nice debate, we even talked about watersheds and creeks, and so it was very nice, it was a very nice, work day.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that. And City of Prospect Heights 4th of July Parade.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
You really have to give a shout out to the people at the Hebron Church for that big
Yeah,
hot dog
really
party
well.
at the end. Man, that is absolutely insane, how much those guys give back to the city. It's really impressive, really impressive. So
And-
shout out to them, but
Thank you, Dana, for making those little handouts that went in the bags.
yeah, that was, hopefully we'll see this is the first work day after those cards went out, so
All right, we'll see.
maybe
How
we'll get
many?
some. We sent out 400,
400.
450,
450 bags, yeah.
yeah.
So next year, 900.
We ran a little bit short, so, yeah, next year, maybe around 700 would do it.
Yeah, but very nice. It's always a very nice event. A little hot, but it's great.
Would have been a little well organized.
Yeah, do you think we'll have the van running by next 4th of July?
Yeah.
People ask us, people actually ask us, where's the van?
Yeah, they remembered last year.
All right, I'll make it a goal for sure.
Did you see the little card?
I'm
It
elbow
had
deep
a-
in grease right now, so it's,
The card that we handed out had a picture
I
of the
saw
van
it.
on the front.
Right, so we were asking.
yeah, well,
Famous.
that'll be a priority for sure.
All right.
But it was nice that we took an all-electric car.
There you go.
Which was part of our mission and vision. And people
Yeah, a
actually.
couple of people
right-
asked, yeah, is that
right,
an
they-
electric car?
They noticed that it was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Next, summer
business.
interns, new business, summer interns. They're really great. They're hard workers, really smart. They're doing so much work, unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable. They're learning so much. I can't even, I can't even tell you how much. I mean, they, to this point right now, they can literally pick up a plant and identify it, key it out in a book, without even knowing what that plant is, just by what they've already learned. They know their invasive plant management. We do a lot of talking, field trips, walking around, and they do a lot of work too. So, I mean, I only spend time with them an hour and a half each day, and then Wednesdays and Friday mornings, all the other times they're working. Sometimes we work together too, the three of us go out and work together. We've had volunteers come out on Wednesdays mornings, so it's more people.
Every Wednesday
Wednesday
is.
has turned into a
is-
volunteer work
is-
day now.
It's a volunteer work day. There's at least 5 to 6 people
Not,
there.
well, sometimes 2 or 3, but.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like Lauren's been coming out, little Lauren, to plant and transplant and do all sorts of things. So I'm really happy with our summer interns.
Well, thanks for putting in the time and being the educational force for them. I mean, I think that's really admirable.
Yeah, she's done
Thanks.
a great job with them.
But I mean, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't see the interest and the, like, complete, like, sort of
Commitment.
hunger and commitment from them. And I know that they go home and they study this, because there's no way that they could just, I mean, well, maybe they're that smart, but I think, you know, I mean, there's the terminology and the amount of information and the amount of plants that we go through and all of this in such a short period of time, and then they come back, like, wanting more, and, you know, with these flashcards and saying these names out loud now, and so, I mean, it just gives them a really good handle on this in their future, and whether they do actual natural areas management, you know, in the field or not, plant ID is really important to know what you're dealing with, you know, what's
Well, I
out
think
there,
you've
what
you've
you-
made it a more than just a job where you're pulling weeds and spraying things and
Oh,
that.
yeah, right.
You've made it,
That was the stipulation on
legitimate,
on the
yeah,
one
program.
donor
I mean,
donor
it's-
grant.
yeah.
And it was such a brilliant, you know, requirement. And then she's just taken off with it, and
Yeah,
it's now
enjoy
part
it.
of
Enjoy
our
it a
whole
lot.
process.
I really do enjoy it. And, you know, and I've seen, you know, I drive by the Cook County Forest Preserves, and they have their interns, and they're getting out with their backpack sprayers in 90-degree weather, and that's all they're doing all day, most of the time. I'm sure they have an educational component too, but I feel like we're really nice and well-rounded, and they're getting a lot of work done, but they're learning a lot. I would love to just keep them on.
we're still taking them to city meetings, so that they're learning what it's like to interact with.
If we have one. Mhm.
With. the
Bringing up
city.
other issues too, you know, we
Right.
discuss things all the time.
Did you want to talk about extending Jeremy at this point?
Yeah, I mean, well, Jeremy is out of school, and he's looking for a job, and so far, you know, he's still looking, so I mean, he's on until August, but, I mean, it would be really, really nice to extend him a little bit further while he's still looking for the job. Not sure how to do that exactly, and so Dana and I kept talked about even funding it privately, at least for, a couple weeks or a few weeks.
Right.
I don't know if we can use maybe some of the money that we've made during our talks, a couple $100. It's always something. We can't use our budget money because that's already been allocated, right?
Peter, what about, we have, like, for instance, we've had 2 talks, and those checks both went into our budget, okay? We have 2 more talks, and that's another topic coming up. We have 2 more talks that we have to give, and we're gonna be receiving money there. Could we earmark that money out of the budget to extend his internship?
I'll speak with finance, because we've earmarked it to go to you.
Right.
And again, as you know how it works,
It's outside of the budget.
it's, well, not really. I mean, any money that you've made goes into our general fund. It's one big pot of money, but we take and
Yeah,
put
right.
that money aside, as part of your line item for the money that you've been budgeted by the council. So it just pads that. But it's not like that continues in perpetuity. I mean, you only have it for the year. So if you want that, say it's $400, it's $100 each, and there's 4, I'm just making up a number. Whatever dollar amount it is, you can say, can we have that specifically to extend this person's internship? I'll speak with finance to find out.
All right, yeah,
I
if you-
believe that's possible.
All right.
Because all it is just, what we're doing is, okay, now instead of $4,500 for that intern, now it's $5,000 for the intern. So I don't think that's gonna mess with budgeting or anything like that. I'll have to
Okay.
discuss with finance and then get back to you.
All right, thanks. Cool.
But we can't use the rest of our budget money for the year that we've allocated to like gloves and supplies and things, because those have already
no, it's
been.
can-
We would need to, because that money's been budgeted by the council for a specific use, I will speak with Joe and with the council, with the finance department. You may need to ask for the council's approval to use that money in a different way. I don't know if that would be just a letter from the commission that says, hey, listen, we're gonna get more value with the intern than we will seeds or whatever. But let me get you an answer on that too. So that's 2
Okay.
separate issues.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, thanks, Peter. Boy, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, then otherwise, I mean, donations, right, can be accepted, so it would be basically a private donation, let's say, from even us to the commission, which can be allocated to
Right.
extending the internship.
Peter, in that case, will we make a donation to the city then, and then tell you, like, if as commissioners, if we all decided, we all want to,
Even a private donation
Right.
to the city? Correct. You could say, we wanted, like the anonymous donor did.
Right.
4,500. So we want to donate X amount of dollars to prolong or to continue the interns.
okay.
Jeremy's internship.
Right. He's like our best intern yet, and he's
Yes.
so hardworking.
He's invaluable.
Absolutely. I wish that he could be
Cloned.
cloned, employed forever. Right. I mean, ideally, he would be employed by the park district or by the city, as a, full-time, but I don't think that that's a possibility anytime in the near future, because that would have to be like, a whole different.
But we have to think about succession too for our commission,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We need the younger people.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's on our mind.
It would be really nice to extend his internship until he finds something that he's really looking for. And he's a great worker, and we get a lot done, and we always need the work, so. Okay.
Okay, summer meeting locations.
No, wait, you're,
Oh,
Big commission meeting.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
right. I have been attending the McDonald Creek Commission meetings, but now that I am gainfully employed, I cannot make the 6 PM time. However, I do listen to their recording. They did draft a letter, I've mentioned that before, to go with their McDonald Creek brochure. They are going to mail it, and they do not have residents' names, they just have addresses, so they're going to mark it as neighbor instead of residents, so that the residents don't automatically throw it out. And an interesting fact, they were talking about our demographics, that we have young people starting families and an older population, and that millennials actually do not get mail but look forward to receiving it. So that's a new twist. Millennials do want mail. They are diligently working on their presentation to the council. They originally thought it would be in July. They've now moved it to August. But their overall message to the city council is to emphasize the infrastructure, that the creek is a critical part of Prospect Heights infrastructure, both an asset as well as a liability. And they did speak about having partnerships with neighboring communities and other related relevant agencies, including the Prospect Heights Natural Resource Commission. And as part of maintaining the creek, they did talk about buffer management and planting deep-rooted plants, so I could see us being a definite help to them.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
their next meeting is July 24th.
We'd be willing to help, for sure.
Okay. The meeting locations, the mosquitoes are so bad, let's just forget that idea.
Okay.
By August, it might be better.
Unless somebody really wants to. I mean, the mosquitoes are just,
I'd like to move all the meetings outside at this point.
It's funny, the mosquitoes really are bad. I've actually bought full-body mosquito netting for our interns, like privately, because, I mean, you cannot work outside. I mean,
No,
the bug
it's-
spray doesn't work.
yeah.
It's just, it's bad. Doesn't matter if you're in the sun or in the shade, it's bad out there. And probably has to do with a little bit with our flooding, but yeah. Okay, so does everybody agree then to move it, the rest of the meetings indoor?
Okay.
Anybody object?
I agree.
Okay, everybody, aye, okay, so we're moving the back in.
all right.
The Poplar Creek Prairie Steward Seed Exchange, so I mentioned a little bit about that.
Mhm.
I'm really excited about this, trying to prepare a little bit of a species list of things that we don't have or things that we have little of. Last year was very successful. I'm very excited to have this relationship with them. You know, it's great. They've come out to transplant plants several occasions, and we've grown some really special plants for them, and now we get to also get
Is there a
some really
date on
special
that?
seeds.
Or
No
is that just-
timeline yet. Depending on when the seed's ready, I expect,
They actually suggested multiple dates we could do it too, didn't
yeah, so.
they? Yeah. And then part of the exchange on that is that we go out to do for their seed processing. So everybody want to keep that in mind too.
Sure. Since we're speaking of partnerships and we work so closely with the Prospect Heights Park District, just like I represent us at the McDonald Creek Commission, and I'm also on the Water Committee, I think we should talk about taking turns attending a Park District Board meeting, just to have a presence and to remind them that we're here to help and be cooperative.
Yeah,
What do
I
you guys
couldn't
think?
agree more, and I
Yes.
volunteer to go to the next one.
What, they meet on Tuesdays or
I
Thursdays?
have no idea, I'd have to look it up, but I would absolutely.
That's an excellent idea, excellent idea. I've been thinking a little bit about that we seem a little bit maybe separated. We know what's going on, but it would definitely be a good idea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll volunteer and go to the next one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That probably goes for city council meetings too, don't you think?
Yes.
It's every Monday.
It's, what is it, every Monday night?
And sometimes
No,
they
every
go-
other, it's every other, isn't it? It's every other Monday. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it is
every
the
other.
second.
Except for August, there will not be a workshop, just going to be the fourth Monday in August.
we should, I know everybody's busy, but yes, yes, we should. We should go to both, because it's important to have. a
Peter, what
presence.
about getting Agnes a seat up here for those council meetings?
No, thank you.
We don't have enough seats now. We have to include the water committee, McDonald Creek. Again, as an advisory commission to the council, you can ask them anything.
Well, I mean, if, at the very least, I mean, we know that it's taped, videotaped, the city council meetings, that someone should look at
Listen to
those
them.
tapes all the time, you know,
Yeah.
like on a regular basis.
Yeah, the problem is that you don't have a chance to interact with the tape.
That's true, because there's been right, you don't, you can't go back in time when something's discussed. I completely agree. Who's gonna,
Should we make a schedule or something?
Yeah, I think
yeah,
probably the
because
best thing to do is.
we can
make
talk
a
about it, and then
count.
it's just not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I think it's gotta be an action item.
Yeah,
And maybe we need to have a schedule where we take turns doing it or something.
yeah, take turns reviewing
The only
agenda.
thing with the city council meetings, they can run very late, can't they, Peter?
Yes,
The longest one, I mean, we can get out of here maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It starts at 2 p.m.
I mean, generally 2 hours, 6:30 to 8:30. If it's a packed agenda or a contentious issue, we go to 9 o'clock.
yeah.
I see.
Is the agenda available ahead of time
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
so that we could see what's applicable?
Mm-hmm.
The Thursday before the meeting, it's out for public,
Mhm.
for public. On our website, to the media, posted outside.
So we might find some meetings, at least on the surface, appearing maybe not too applicable to our
Yes,
calling.
although you never know what
You
issues
never know what,
can come
You
up,
never
so.
know.
Yeah.
you never know.
But, yeah, but at least maybe then we decide to just at least listen to the tapes and find out what's going on.
Yeah, or look at the agenda ahead of time and realize there's some we really should be.
You always learn something, Adam.
I mean,
Whether it's
I try to do
related to
that.
us
I
or
really
not.
do, maybe not every single one, but I really do look at the agenda and I look, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'll even listen to the, you know, just to keep abreast of things. And it's, sometimes things get in the way and, you know, we're all busy, but if we can split that up a little bit, I think that would be really great.
Well, that's why we're a commission, I guess, so.
Mhm.
All right, I'll make a
Can't do it
calendar.
all, can you?
No, I can't.
I'll make a calendar and
Let's
send it
make a,
out.
let's look
Okay.
at, make
I'll
a
take it.
calendar and put our names on it.
Okay.
Okay,
The only thing is I can't make a 6:30 meeting. That's really hard now for me. But I
okay,
could listen to the tape,
okay.
or I could attend the meeting, but not at 6:30.
Okay,
We'll figure it out.
right.
Okay.
Okay, that's really great. Thank you for the, that's a very good idea. So Park District and City Council meetings. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Okay.
wonderful. Okay, next is public outreach and presentations.
It's you.
Me?
Yeah.
So,
You and Jill both.
me and
Oh,
Jill.
yes.
Right, about
Mount
So-
Prospect Garden,
Mount Prospect Garden Club, and then what's the other garden club, Joe?
oh, the Master Gardeners.
The Master Gardeners. So we've been approached by gardeners to give our SLU talk again. And I just have to mention how sweet it is, like during our very first talk, somebody said, you should take this on the road. And now we've already done the
This will
talk
be the
twice, and this will be.
Fifth and sixth time.
Right. So, I mean, people appreciate our talk and they want to hear it. They've heard from others that it's a very nice presentation and they want to hear it at
You
their
guys have
meeting.
dates on these yet?
Of the Master Gardeners, we're looking at September to do a field trip to the slough. And not just to view, but to
Right.
actually work and get into the.
Like a work day?
Well, just to really know what we're doing and
Mhm.
to participate.
Okay,
And then the Mount Prospect Garden Club, she now said November 14th, it was a Wednesday.
okay. Well, Wednesday works definitely for me.
So there's no presentation involved with the.
There's
Master
both?
Gardeners?
Oh, not with them, but there is one with the
With
other
the
one.
14th,
Yeah.
Mount Prospect Garden Club.
So the presentation's on the 14th?
Yes.
Okay,
The one in
Will you be around?
Do you have a date?
No.
September
Uh,
14th.
November.
Middle of September.
It was
It
too
was
far
a-
out.
a
That's
weekday.
kind of far out, but well,
If you
more
put it
than
on the
likely.
calendar. Well, everybody, Seth, you weren't part of the presentation, we can always like,
I have to fine tune.
we can add you in and have you take a part of it, you know?
Yeah.
If you wanna do that.
More animal
Yeah,
oriented
okay.
or.
Yeah.
When's typically fall burn season?
Wildlife.
Yep.
That
A
time,
lot more wildlife
Mhm.
to talk about.
Yeah, so,
yeah. Right around that time, October, November.
Okay. Visitor comments?
So can we go back just a moment? So, we haven't asked Ed yet about participation. We should send an email to everybody once the date is locked in. And then Seth would like to participate as well, so we can divide up a section.
Or maybe Ed can't make it, and he could do Ed's part.
Right, whatever you decide. It's, yeah, okay, great. Was there anything else about public outreach?
Nope.
If we do it on the 14th, since I'm in a new job,
Mhm.
I might have to take a vacation day in order to,
is that a day thing or an evening thing?
day.
Day, it's like from 1 to 3.
In November?
Mhm.
It's at the Des Plaines Conservatory?
Mhm.
Yeah. Wherever
Okay.
that
Well,
is.
let's look at our schedules and see what we can do.
November
Okay.
what?
November
Peter, would you
14th.
like to?
November 14th.
My schedule is
Yeah.
so far,
erratic.
I can't see that far.
That's a long way away. It's hard
Well,
to-
but if, when it's getting
Yeah,
closer,
sure.
What day is it?
that's, we can always adjust
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
So should I at least tell her yes?
Right?
I'd say yes, and then we should
we'll
adjust
work it
for it.
out.
We can't give, pass
Okay.
up opportunities.
That's
like
a
that.
Wednesday, John.
Oh, that's good. I can do Wednesday.
Okay.
Was there something else there with the public outreach and the presentations?
Not that I
Just the
know.
two,
It's those two presentations.
Yeah. That's all. I'm aware
yeah, okay, all right.
Anybody else we can sell it to? Serious, we gotta fund our interns.
Well, why not?
Well, exactly. Why not?
Well, but it's a lot of work. It's $100 stipend.
Well, every bit counts, but
I mean, like, I take off time from work to do it. It's more like a $100 stipend. I don't know if it's worth it. Selling it to the masses. It's more of something that we actually take time off to
I guess it's
present.
cheaper just to donate.
And go to work to
And
make
go
the
to
money to fund the interns, right?
Well, it's nice to think that the lecture has some value that people are willing to
I
pay
think,
for.
I think that it's not the money, it really isn't the money. I think it's that the
No.
value is completely in the presentation
Why?
and the engaging the
Why
public and
couldn't we
people.
do it at the high schools?
Oh.
Maybe on a career day, they'd be learning about the area in which they live and learning about natural area management.
That's not a bad idea.
Didn't someone approach you that they have a contact?
Yeah.
That was that is exactly what is missing from here.
Yes.
Yes. One of our volunteers has reached out to Hersey High School and has secured a contact with their environment. I'm sorry, I'm not blaming you.
I've tried, so.
I know you have, and we've
Yeah,
tried too.
the,
We've all tried to,
Environmental science teacher over there is a little lax. I've reached out numerous times. and
I know, we
gotten
have.
Zero response.
we have.
But if someone knows him and has a connection or something, it makes
Well, there's also
all the
Prospect
sense
High
in the
School
world.
in Buffalo Grove
Yes.
and Whaley and,
I'm just very excited that one of our volunteers has picked up this lead. You know, we're all busy, like I said, there's a lot of things going on. We're involved in different things, and so, you know, for one of our volunteers to like take the lead in this is really great. So she's been reaching out, and she's been talking, and she's gonna reach other high schools, and so, you know, when the time comes, she's suggesting that we meet with the teachers and with some of the students of these environmental clubs and try to engage them in everything. So I think it's great. That's sort of what we've been looking for, you know, to reach out to the youth.
Might have to punch it up for the millennials though or something, right?
Yeah.
have
They have short
music,
attention spans.
have music,
Yeah. Right.
give them food while we're presenting.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea too.
Pay them.
Okay, okay,
More to come on that.
career day. That's a great idea. Mhm. Okay,
All right, Peter doesn't have any comments, so I
No.
make the motion we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Our next meeting